found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
There's like a strange water bottle sitting right here. It's like the germ IED or something that, don't open it up because it's probably got germs from somebody. I don't know where it came from. It's just called Bomb Squad out there.
Yeah, push that over there where Ted should be.
I think it is Ted's. It's got residual germs on it. Well, do you wonder why you take the time each week to listen to more podcasts? I'll tell you why. More stands for maximizing opportunities for right now and eternity. So stop asking why you listen. Just never forget to listen and pass it on. It's been a fun week, man. I don't know. We're, they can't seem to keep an Ayatollah over there in Iran, which is good. Mm-hmm. I heard they're going to start kind of like an Ayatollah, like an American Idol kind of thing, like who's going to be the next Ayatollah. So trying to find somebody to take the job.
Sure.
Nobody wants it.
First, you got to find somebody to do it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think.
Did the sun decline or something? Because
the sun is missing. As of yesterday, on Fox News, the sun is missing now. So it's been 24 hours since anybody's seen his face. And Israel's not saying anything yet. So
yeah, well, to be fair, if I became the leader of that, I would go missing too.
Right? Yeah.
Put me in a bunker somewhere.
I am not taking the job. They're down to like the secretaries and the janitor might be that.
I was just an intern.
Yeah, right. Wait a minute. I work on catering. What am I doing up here?
Just got my associate's degree. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing.
They're putting anybody up there. As soon as they get up there, they disappear. So. I don't know. It's been kind of fun. My wife and I, we get these emails from the press corps over there from the Navy to let us know everybody's fine. But it's unfortunate we lost seven soldiers. But
we're on eight.
We're on 8 now.
Yep.
So eight have been lost. So so it's unfortunate. We've had a few deaths, but their ship is going good. They sank 46 ships, and now they're going to the Canal of Hormuz. The Lincoln and the Gerald Ford will be going over there to take out their missile constructions they have across there, so that you can't take a boat there without getting taken out. So that's their next job, I guess. That's the last I heard. But they're doing good. I'm glad. Any news is good news. As a parent.
For sure.
So everything's good. But other than that, right now, again, as we record, we were just talking about this before the podcast, Master Gary and I. It seems like every stinking Wednesday, some massive atmospheric catastrophe happens on Wednesday.
Yep.
And so now we've had the ice storm, and it's supposed to go till 8:00 tonight. And so, it's just going to be interesting. But the roads aren't that bad, honestly.
Right.
You get out on the main highway, not bad.
It's fine.
So if you're driving in it today, I can tell you that it's not that bad. Except for, I will say, Powers Road was a little bit fun because they have not salted it yet. But they'll probably get on that before this podcast is over. Well, this episode of More Podcast is sponsored by Sunshine. Yep, Sunshine, the thing that we all moved to Northern Michigan for and then never see again until Memorial Day. If you're new to the area, don't worry. It does come back eventually, usually around the same time the tourists show up and the construction barrels hatch mysteriously. Sunshine, Northern Michigan's most rare and treasured natural resource.
This is true.
It's our sponsor for today. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind a little sunshine. We get a little bit of it, and right away, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, get the shorts on!"
Mm-hmm.
I was excited when I saw.
And then it rains ice.
Then it rains ice. Yeah, last night I went outside. I had to take the dogs out, and I'm outside taking some garbage out to the garbage, and I'm getting hit with ice pellets. Mm-hmm. It feels like I'm getting hit with BBs, and I'm like, "My gosh, that hurts!" Mm-hmm. And so I put my hood up, and it's just smacking me, and I'm like, "What is going on?"
Listening to.
So I get in there, and I pushed the button there. And so I get inside, and I told Amy, and she's like, "Really?" And she goes out to see what it's like. And she puts her hand out. She's like, "My gosh, that hurts." I'm like, "Yeah, it's coming down pretty hard." I was going to tell you, Hunter, I've been getting, because apparently I talk a lot about rah-rahs. And dinosaurs.
Yes.
So that's all that's coming on my algorithm now. And so I have these costumes that are popping up with dinosaur bones that you kids can wear and walk around like rah-rahs. Yeah. I think Amy told your wife about it, but I was like, somebody needs that.
Yep.
I just because I want to see them running around with that, I might just pick one up for them.
When my kids put on a costume, it's like they they channel something new, right?
Yeah.
They just like Sheamus puts on a Spider-Man costume and the confidence goes through the roof.
He's going to climb on the wall.
It's like, hey, don't ever do that again.
It's like when Pastor Alex puts on a toupee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then I feel like a young man all of a sudden.
He's
Like, who's this guy?
unstoppable.
Yeah. I do have my long metal hair, and I put that on every now and then. And my wife is just like, please stop. Don't do that anymore. Yeah. Well, anything new come with you guys? You guys have anything interesting happen with your week?
I went to Traverse City yesterday.
Yeah.
Had a great time with my wife. Stopped at the Goodwill, picked up some prizes for the podcast.
Oh, did you?
good.
All right.
A couple of brand spanking new Yeti cups that will have be
Wow.
coming in,
Oh.
and we're going to throw some Harbor Light labels on them.
That'd be
They
good,
will
yeah.
special. Found out that we're going to be having one knee replacement on. We're praying for May 7th.
Release K?
Yeah,
Oh,
May 7th.
May 7th.
Okay.
We're really praying for that.
Yeah.
There's some hoops that we have to jump through. Otherwise, it'll be pushed off to May 21st. But we're praying for the 7th, so
7th.
we can have a little summer left.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's
Because
not
it's
fun.
quite a recovery. So she's had her hip replaced, and that goes pretty quickly and easily. The knees are a lot more difficult to recover from.
Yeah.
And so we're just praying that we get that as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's never
I asked
fun.
to be put on the cancellation list to even bump it up a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Wow, once she gets done, she'll be like the Bionic Woman, man.
Oh, yeah.
She got hip.
Jamie
knees.
Summers.
Yeah. You run around.
No.
Running around. Yeah. Those are never fun. I had an aunt that had both her knees done in one summer. And she's like, I wish I would have never done that. Like maybe one knee at a time. But she's like, I'm going to get them both done now.
Yep, I've heard of that.
Yep.
And so she was laid up the whole time. I mean, she had to just
Can't
kind of
hobble around on the one. That's good.
She was walking. She was in a wheelchair, and then somebody got her a powered scooter because she lives in Florida. So she was driving around her subdivision with that thing. Yeah, it was fun, but she didn't stop. It didn't stop her.
Yeah.
She still had to go to card games and bingo and everything else.
Yeah, the bingo games are still there to be won.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bingo.
Yes. Game doesn't sleep, right?
No, you don't. I mean, that's the highlight of your week. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it there. I don't care. And when you're hopped up on pain meds,
Yep.
it makes it all the more important for you to be there.
I had a grandma that lived over at the care facility, and she won every bingo game.
Yeah.
And eventually they would come and just take all the prizes back and then restock the shelves because her room was filling up with prizes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd just win them all back.
Yeah. Wait till next month.
My mom, when she was over in Harbor Springs at the rest home there, they would play bingo. And
Yeah, that's
they would
weird.
win clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I would come in and visit, and I'm like, "What? Where'd you get that at?" And she didn't remember. She's had dementia, and so she's like, "I don't know. I've had this forever." And I'm like, "No, that's new. Like, where'd you get that from?" She's getting clothes from things, and then a lot of it was not even her size. So like, she had a sweater that was like hanging down to her knees and stuff. And I'm like, "Where are you getting this stuff?" And she's finally told me some bingo that she thinks she won it, and then they would win pennies. That was the surprise too. You win pennies for a game. And so I think all in all for a year, she'd maybe have like 30 cents one up, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's big money there. You buy stuff at the commissary for, candy bar for 10 cents or whatever. Yeah, those are the days, right? I mean, now I don't know. Gas prices, I just cannot believe gas prices right now. $3.67 a gallon right now.
So it's called the rocket and feather effect.
Yeah.
So anytime there's a disturbance or a possibility that something could go wrong, it rockets up. The price will rocket up, and then it slowly descends like a feather.
Well, it needs to get
So
slow.
we are experiencing no lossage, right? But there's
Right.
just the hint of a problem, and so it rockets up 75 cents in 2 days.
Yeah.
And then it will take 3.5 months to come down.
Yeah, I think Iran does 20% of the world's
oil.
and so it's a world thing. So we have oil,
Yep.
right? Because we get majority of our oil from America and Canada. But the world economy of it, a little affect it all, and
It's rigged.
people get
It's
nervous.
rigged. That's what come on, let's be honest. Let's just say what everybody's been thinking. It's rigged, yeah.
Yeah, when it's simple as like, what was it? Trump before the stock market closed, he said, "Hey, I think this is gonna end really quickly. Right? Don't worry about it." And then after the stock market closed, like changes his tune a little bit, but he saved gas prices from coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
By saying that.
Right.
Right. Because just
God.
one word.
Yeah.
Can make it.
Well, okay, this is my question. This is what I don't understand. Before we started really fighting over in Iran, we got 80 million barrels from Venezuela, and then we just broke ground for a $300 billion oil refinery this week. So why is that not having any effect on the oil prices? That's my question. Like, you got 80 billion barrels, or 80 million barrels. So where did that all go to? I think, honestly, Michigan has the highest gas prices. Most
California, my cousin just sent me a picture.
Michigan is high, but California is up to $5, over $5.
Because I was calling Carson, and I'm like, what are you paying down there? He's like, well, I'm about $2.30 right now. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear it.
Michigan's
right now.
pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And right where we live, it's even a little more difficult because you can travel here 40 miles away and pay 40 cents less.
Yeah, go to Gaylord.
Yeah.
That's what we look for, the opportunity to go to Gaylord to go shopping, because it's usually 15, 20 cents cheaper.
Got all your gas cans in the back filled up.
Somebody was telling me that the other day. I think it was Greg Chamberlain was telling me, like, that's what he does.
Yeah.
When he goes to the gas station and he knows he's getting a good price, he takes every gas can he has in his house, fills it up, and his wife was like, it's not great because it just smells like gas in the car until we get home. But he's committed. And it's a good idea, I guess. That's the forethought you need. That's the kind of
thinking you need
that's
to
kind
have.
of thinking you need to have in this kind of economy. We're going to take a night break, come back with introductions, and we'll see who's around the table today.
You're listening to More Podcast, where the unreal meets the real and something happens with gamma radiation, and then the More Podcast is born. Keep listening. There's so much more.
Well, the man who represents the next generation of the church, which means he understands technology, social media, and about 9 words the rest of us say wrong every episode. Here to keep us culturally relevant, Pastor Hunter.
Wow, thank you. The man who keeps the podcast grounded while the rest of us are busy turning every conversation into a business idea or a sermon illustration. The steady hand on the wheel, the man trying to keep the ship from becoming a canoe headed over Niagara Falls, Pastor Gary.
That's so
I
true.
did have someone say to me last week when I spoke for the first time in a month, they're like, it was like having Papa say, everyone calm down. All right, the man with all of the talent, knows what every button and knob does, the guy that runs this thing, 1 million voiceovers. His voicemail has a waiting list, and people save his voicemails as a podcast. Pastor Alex Norton.
Hey, here I am. Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that. I got a TikTok that was hilarious. Have you seen the guy that's like getting ready to do a bungee jump, and he's sitting there and they're trying to talk him to go over, and he's like, hold on, wait a minute, I gotta tell you something, and they keep doing that the whole time, and so they're putting the captions on there. The next Ayatollah, it's like, hold on, wait a minute, I want to tell you something. This came to my head. Sorry, random thought. See, this is why we need Pastor.
This is why he's here.
This is why he's here. Yeah. Well, today we're going to talk about some interesting science that popped up on one of our many ARP magazines or something of that nature. Scientific discoveries from Northern Michigan about the sunshine and what it means to us. We're going to just kind of fill you in on that. It's kind of interesting. They got some symptoms that you need to look for that seem pretty popular and pretty common among us. But we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll come right back.
Listening to More Podcast is like buying a used car. It seems like a good idea at the time. Then you realize that this is going to be an investment. Much like More Podcast. So stay a while and kick the tires for an hour. Not too hard. We do tend to have some things fall off. More Podcast.
All right. Well, before we get into today's topic and the stuff that really matters most in More Podcasts, we have a quick science update. Scientists have recently been studying a mysterious phenomenon affecting people who live in northern Michigan between the months of October and April, and I think all of us can agree with that. It's something that we all deal with. I mean, we probably never really had looked at studies and tried to figure out, but we kind of feel it. It's called sun deprivation syndrome. Have you guys heard of that before?
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Researchers say that when residents go more than 45 days without seeing the sun, several symptoms begin to appear. Now, these are the things that we got to watch out for. These are common responses people have given about not having the sun. And we all know how important our vitamin D is, right? You guys taking your vitamin D during the winter? Yeah. I got Pastor Ted on that. I told him, take D3 gummies and, keep just popping them like candy. Just eat them. And so he's been doing that. But here's the first symptom. People began saying strange things like 50 degrees actually feels pretty nice.
That's true.
That's true.
100%.
I did that the other day when it hit 50 degrees. I actually shut my furnace off, and I was just kind of sitting in my house like, this is pretty good. Another symptom that seems to be a common response is when the sun appears for even 6 minutes, residents immediately go outside and stand in their driveway like solar-powered lawn ornaments. Yeah, I've done that.
I lean in front of my sliding glass door. Just stand there.
I actually
Neighbors probably think I'm crazy.
Went out and, during the wintertime, the mice have their way with my front porch. And so we've thrown the rodent things out there. We've done everything to keep the mice off our porch. And so they find places in our lawn furniture out there. So I'm out there cleaning off the front porch. And so I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to relax.
Do you know that sunshine never gets stale?
It never gets stale.
Never gets stale.
That's a good point.
You know, when you get sunshine, it's already 8 minutes old when it gets to you, because it's traveled 93 million miles to get here. So
That's
it takes
a good
8
point.
minutes to get here. And so it's never stale, though.
It's never stale. It's always fresh. Always fresh sunshine. And we need a lot of it. And I don't know. They keep saying that it's coming, and I'm believing.
A little better.
Believing in faith. The third symptom, people began arguing about whether vitamin D gummies count as a personality trait. That's true. That's a lot of conversation in our front office is, should we be taking these? How much should we be taking? And I just, you know what I do? I have a thing of gummies in my office. I just take a handful and put them in there. Just go for it. I don't know what it does in my body, but it makes me feel better. So scientists have also observed a rare behavior when sunlight hits snow. Apparently, the brightness causes Northern Michigan residents to instinctively say the phrase, wow, that's bright.
Yeah, Luca walked out of church a couple weeks ago and said, "Who turned the lights on?" So funny.
Well, your pupils get so dilated just being
He's like, light
inside
on,
so much,
light
and then you
on.
step
It is.
outside.
Yeah. It does get
you
bright.
get that burn. You remember when you were a kid and your mom would flip the light on in the morning and it's like your
yeah.
eyes would just burn.
That's just torture.
Or I remember the experience as a kid going to a movie theater and then coming out and feeling that way. Or the even more disorienting one, go to a movie theater at 5 and then come out it's sunny when you go in and then completely pitch black when you come out of it.
And you're like, where's my car? I can't find my car anywhere. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've done that before. I get out and then I park somewhere and then 2 other like 4Runners, same color, park next to me, and I'm like getting in the wrong one. I'm sitting there with my key trying to get it to open up.
You're getting a little upgrade.
Yeah. Well, apparently that does cause problems. Even though it's been dark for 4 months, the study also discovered that once the sun returns in late April, something incredible happens. Everyone suddenly remembers hobbies they forgot that they had, like grilling and hiking and washing their truck and pretending they enjoy yard work again.
Golfing, come on.
You get out and golf. Research concluded something very important, that the sun is not just a star for Northern Michigan residents. It's a coping mechanism. That is so true. Yeah. Without the sun, we are in trouble. But we don't have it as bad as people in Alaska.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
They go without the sun quite a bit, and they seem to be able to survive. But, yeah, I don't know. Just I drink a lot more coffee in the winter than I do any other time of the year.
Same.
And a lot of vitamin D. So, even though this is a reality, get ready. We got a couple more weeks, and we're going to be there, and then summer's going to hit, and we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to have a good time, right?
Yeah, it's going to be done so fast, we're going to say.
I know. Because Easter's almost here.
I know.
I'm like, when did Easter come into the mix already?
Yeah.
I'm like, good grief.
Well, everybody looked at me when I was crazy 3 weeks ago when I was like, hey, guys, Easter's like here.
Yeah.
Like going to be here in 50 days.
I remember when you said that in staff meeting, we're all like, oh
yeah.
gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How is that possible?
I know.
Yeah. Well, then summer activities hit so fast, and then our schedule here gets real busy. So everything's just happening.
That was
one
kind
after
of the thing about the announcements this last week, the Harbor Light News. Pastor Ted was talking, and it definitely had this feeling you went from winter to summer. There's no spring in there.
No.
We just wait, it goes all the way through, and then all of a sudden in June, we're in summer.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
Michigan doesn't really have a springtime.
It's like, when do we have the springtime? It doesn't happen.
Yeah, spring is vital.
Yeah.
Scary time.
Yeah.
You get stuff like this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so last night I was watching a YouTube video, something interesting that your wife might like. Mm-hmm. A scientist has developed a box that he puts these little diode receptors on, like moss and mushrooms and stuff like that. And apparently they actually play music. They send off a signal that plays music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, have you heard about this?
Yes.
It is so cool to watch this, but everything out there has its own music. And so he puts the diodes on there, and then he turns it on, and then it starts playing its own music, like whatever it is. Puts it on moss, it's a totally different thing. Puts it on leaves, totally different thing. So it's I can't remember the scientist's name, but he's actually developed this over a period of time. It's probably a university that's involved with it, but I thought your wife would love it.
Okay.
She could just walk around her yard and in her garden, just like, what is the strawberry singing today? You know, it'd be so, I'm like, for the forager in your family, this might be fun.
It would be interesting to find out if they change their tune throughout the year too.
Oh yeah. That would be interesting, yeah, to see what they do. But he's like, you know, they're always putting out like these signals. We just haven't been able to interpret them, and this is the way he's interpreted is through music. And so, yeah, did you find it?
All right, now Psalms 96, 11 through 12.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let the heavens rejoice. Let the earth be glad. Let the sea resound and all that it is. Let the fields be jubilant and everything and all of them. Let the trees of the forest sing for joy.
See, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
We didn't know it. Really. I mean, we got the Bible reference, but we really didn't know it until this guy came up with it. So that means the rocks
It's an interesting thing.
might be crying out. They might actually be crying out. We just haven't heard them yet. Now we figured it out. Now they'll be like, help me.
Maybe not. Yeah. That's not exactly what the verse means.
Oh, that was close.
I still think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good reference. That's it. That would work. You know?
It works.
Yeah.
It works.
You can find scripture for anything, really.
Yeah.
That works. I like that. We're going to come back with Harbor Light Bible Trivia. Pastor Gary, you got a question for us?
I got one.
All right. Hey, we got one coupon gone. Did we give it away to somebody?
I have to send it out to Dave.
He's going to take the coupon.
Yeah.
When he comes into town from, where is it? Nepal?
He's in California right now.
Oh, he's in California. Okay.
Yeah.
He'll come over and
He'll be coming back around when the sun comes out.
He can get Crooked Biscuits to take on the plane with him next time, you know? Be good for him.
If 1 + 1 = 2, then listening to more podcasts from week to week equals? We're not sure, but our fans say it adds up to something. Just don't overthink it. Sit back, we have more to come.
Well, here we are with Bible Trivia and Pastor Gary. We had a question last week. Who did that question? You did, Hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the question?
It was something about a cave, but I don't
Oh, yeah.
remember.
What was the cave? And we caught.
Yeah.
I think we come to the conclusion that in the Hebrew it's poop cave or something.
Yeah, in the Hebrew, that's what it was called. Yeah.
But
There was another name for it, which I don't remember right now.
yeah.
See, things go crazy when you're gone past.
See,
the
that's
gates.
what- yeah.
Okay.
So, Pastor Gary, you've got something a little more theological for us there.
I do. And this will be setting up. Pastor Hunter will be speaking this weekend about Jesus being the miracle worker. So how many distinct different miracles did Jesus perform? And we're going to give you a range because there is some debate on it, but we'll give you a range plus or minus 2.
Plus or minus 2,
Plus or
okay.
minus 2.
All right.
How many distinct different miracles did Jesus perform in the Gospels?
All right. So there's a mulligan built in
Yes.
to this question. So if you have the answer, you can send it to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and let us know your answer. And surprisingly, no one got the poop cave question. Nobody sent that one in. That we came up with.
I just gave too hard of a question.
I like the poop cave. If we can find the Hebrew word for that, I don't know, but yeah. So I mean, it makes sense to me. Yeah. So, but this one,
How many miracles?
How many miracles? Plus or minus 2?
Yes, plus or minus 2.
That's the range. It's kind of like Las Vegas odds
Yep.
there. So you're good for it. Yeah.
The over-under.
Over under. All right. So you got the answer. Send it to us, and you will put your name on the Wilson Insurance Wheel of Destiny, and you can spin for some new prizes
Yeah.
because you went over
Yep, we got some Yeti, some super sweet Yeti cups.
super sweet
And we're
Yeti
going to put
cups,
some Harbor Light logos on there, and they will be very doctored up and beautiful.
and we still have one Crooked Biscuit coupon for $20 here. So that could be possibly yours as well. And yeah, so Dave was our winner last month from Tijuana, Mexico, or where is he from? California.
Yeah.
He's from California. So we got Dave. Dave's from everywhere. Dave's
been around.
Dave's a traveler.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back with Bible Talk with Pastor Gary.
Headphones on. Check. The perfect podcast on. Check. Not sure why you're listening? Good point. Should you keep listening? Yes. Should you tell others you listen to the More Podcast? Good idea. Life just got better.
Well, in this Bible talk, we begin asking the most important question anyone can ever ask. Who is this man, Jesus? And throughout the four Gospels, we see a Savior who moves toward broken people, welcomes outsiders, and challenges religious pride and reveals the very heart of God. Whether he's teaching crowds or healing the sick, confronting hypocrisy, or sitting at a table with sinners, Jesus continually forces people to wrestle with one question: who is he really? Pastor Gary.
Well, I have some exciting news to be able to present to you guys. I don't know if you've heard about this, but we started off the series with a little joke in there. I threw in during the series intro that Jesus is the most influential man who's ever lived and also the most interesting man who's ever lived. And then I said he's also more interesting than the Dos Equis guy, which Pastor Hunter wasn't old enough to be able to catch.
I
But
have no idea.
There were people.
Don't know the Dos Equis guy.
There were multiple people in the congregation that laughed and clapped, and it was a really funny thing. You want to hear something crazy?
YouTube him.
The actor's name is Jonathan Goldsmith. There are people at Harbor Lake that know him personally.
Really?
They sent him the clip. He wants to talk to me about Jesus.
Really?
That is no joke,
That is
boys.
so cool. All right.
So
All right.
we have the possibility that my little funny at the beginning might actually lead to a salvation.
That's awesome.
They've been trying to talk to this guy about the Lord for a while, and he's been kind of resistant. And then he heard what was going on, and he's like, I want to talk to that pastor.
The most interesting man.
That would be incredible.
Wouldn't that,
That
be
would be
incredible?
really- that'd be so cool.
I do have one little snag. I've got my Hotmail account is full right now, so I have to buy some more storage so that we can interact back and forth. But I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah,
to be
that
able
is
to,
cool.
It would be super great. So I did use a little AI. I took the image. He's holding a drink and a large cigar, and I AI'd it out. And then he's holding a wrench and a Mountain Dew can, if you remember that from the picture.
Yeah.
So that worked out pretty well. But we're looking forward to possibly
That'd be
That'd be
incredible.
cool. That'd be a
All right,
cool
more
story,
podcasts.
yeah.
That's something to pray about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody get out there and do some praying. That would be great.
We can get him on the podcast and talk to him. Most interesting man.
So it was a lot of fun to get started on this series. I really believe that the Lord's going to use this powerfully. I know that our whole team has worked hard at some of the graphics and the points that we're going to be making throughout this series. And Jesus is, you just think about his life. You know, his life we have marked time by, you know, before Christ and after his death. And we know that the world is trying to change that, but this man is so influential that we mark our history by him. And I asked that question to open up the series by saying, you know, if you could host a dinner party and have anyone attend, who would you invite? And then the follow-up question was, then what friends would you invite to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Did you guys think about that at all? Pastor Hunter, who would you invite to be the guest of honor at
The
your
guest of honor. Well, of course, the spiritual answer would be Jesus.
Sure.
But,
Oh, come on.
yeah, I know, but that won't be my answer because I feel like that's not really the heart of what you're trying to get to. I would probably
Jesus.
want to do a dinner with Kobe. That'd be great.
Okay.
Yep.
You're a big Kobe fan.
Yep.
All right. It's just for fun, if you were able to invite other people to be a part of that, to experience it with him.
Yeah. To
Okay.
experience it. Probably some of my high school friends who
Okay,
also
some of your
really,
high school- okay.
Yeah, so we could all kind of enjoy it, just like a good long conversation.
That
with
is
Kobe.
awesome.
That'd be super fun.
All right.
Kobe's the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's gone on.
Yeah, he's passed away.
Via helicopter crash.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I got 20 text messages that day.
Oh, really?
Hunter, you doing okay, buddy?
Yeah.
I was, I was pretty like,
Yeah.
Sure.
like,
It was on a Sunday morning.
hey, he's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of a tough.
That's okay. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
All right. And then, Pastor Alex, just for fun for you, if
Yeah.
you could have a guest of honor at your dinner party, who would you have?
Oh, it'd be Aiden Hutchinson.
Really?
I've already been talking to him. I've had text messages with Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. Because of his work with hospitals.
Yeah.
I've sent him like encouragement. I've sent him prayers and I've sent him scriptures and stuff. And he finally wrote back to me, and I showed Amy, and I'm like, look at this little like gold symbol star means it's from the
Actual
author.
person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, so he said, thank you. That's what I got back.
Woo!
Let's
That's
go.
it.
Okay.
That's it.
Let's
I got
go.
a thank you.
Break the ice right there.
So yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you could have him at dinner,
Yeah.
and then you could invite some of your friends to be there,
Yeah.
what friends would you invite?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd you'd probably invite family for sure. You know, my Lions friends, probably some of my Lions friends in the church here that are big fans of the Lions, and we'd come together. Yeah, we'd have a good party. I'd do a barbecue. Yeah.
A number of years ago, I was in an airport in the Detroit area, and I saw this large, tall black man, and I'm like, you know what? I got to go over and talk to this guy. It was Dominique Wilkins, which you may or may not know, but Dominique Wilkins was sitting there, and I decided I'm not going to talk basketball. You know what we talked?
What?
Golf.
Yeah.
We talked golf.
He's a
He
big
is
golfer.
a big golfer.
Yeah.
He was on his way to Augusta to play with a friend at the Masters, not at the Masters, but at the golf course. And so we ended up probably 20 minutes talking about golf. It was super fun. And I think it was refreshing for him to not talk about basketball, right? Talk about something else. So it was kind of fun to introduce this idea that Jesus was the guest of honor at lots of different meals. And the people that were invited were people that needed to know about Jesus and know about God. And so I think Matthew has a really great strategy to the moment of his becoming a follower of Jesus. He hosts a party and he just says, you know what, I'm going to mix this recipe. I'm going to bring all of my friends who need Jesus, and then I'll invite Jesus to be there as the guest of honor, and let's just see what happens. And we really don't see like the effects of that particular meal that we were talking about from Luke chapter 5, but we definitely know that Jesus had an impact on people wherever he went and the people that he came across. So it was a lot of fun to be able to do that. The other thing that was really fun to get going, and we could talk about this if you guys would like, is just the different method or the different atmosphere of Middle Eastern Jesus culture time dinner parties. That they would open up these courtyards connected to the dinner theater or the dinner party. At first, you're kind of like, that seems a little bit weird. But then you start tracking in your mind all of the times that Jesus interacted with people at dinner that weren't invited guests. The woman who cries and anoints him with tears. The woman who breaks the alabaster box and puts it on his feet. You know, all of those things. And then the fact that Pharisees are showing up at a dinner party that is put on by a tax collector. That's, you know, those are cultural norms that you don't cross. And you see evidence of the fact that, yes, there were invited guests and uninvited guests, and that people were there to come and see, and there were also people there to listen to what was going on, or to be able to brag and say, look at all my super cool friends. So I think that was a lot of fun, and it begins to open up our understanding of some of these things that happen in the Gospels that we wouldn't, you know, I mean, the other thing I didn't go into, and most of us know this, that they didn't sit at a table with a chair, but they lounged on their left, which is kind of crazy because when you lay on your left side, your stomach, the way that it's created, it keeps the gases inside, it keeps the fluids inside your stomach, and so they recline on their left and eat with their right hand, as most people, of course, are right-handed. And then the order in which they sat was all important, but all of those things help you begin to shape your understanding of what was going on at these events. I have attended a few dinner parties in my day, and there are lots of time, you know, an hour, 2, 3 hours to be able to just hang out and talk with people and to talk about all different types of things. And I think that really helps us understand that a dinner party was a big event, and that people actually did come to hear what was being talked about by people that were, you know, famous or held a high position in society.
Well, you know, you mentioned, you know, how about Jesus always using these opportunities, but why do you think Jesus would use something as ordinary as a meal to do so much of his powerful ministry over, you know, the Sermon on the Mount or those kind of situations where it seems like you draw people to you and you speak to them as a teacher, but he did a lot of his teaching around the table?
You know, I see a lot of different wonderful aspects of having a large crowd. You get your information out to a bunch of people. You have to make a lot of assumptions, I think, when you speak to a large crowd like we do on a Sunday morning. You're assuming the questions that people are answering, and then you're trying to answer that. But when you go to a dinner party where maybe, let's say there's, you know, 50 or less guests, you can isolate your conversation down to things that are more personal to the person that you're looking across the table from, or, you know, standing there with a drink in your hand and you're having a conversation. It helps you isolate and be more focused on what's important. And then, of course, we see Jesus meet with, you know, Nicodemus up on the rooftop, right? Where he has a chance to have a one-on-one with someone. And then he's able to challenge and go right to the heart of the issues that were going on in his life. And so I see that there's a wonderful opportunity to be more personable at a meal. Yeah. And also, it wasn't a rush, as we talked about. This is a 3-4 hour event, and so you don't have to speed through conversations with people. Yeah. You can slow down, take your time, look across, and really try your best to connect with the heart of the person that you're connecting with.
I like that. Yeah. I think, sometimes when I've had dinner guests over, there is a vulnerability that happens around a table that you don't have in any other situation. And I think, it's interesting where, God through Jesus, his whole point was to become vulnerable to the world, to help them understand who he is and what he's about. And it's not just the 10 Commandments God, but he's the God that wants to be incarnate and be in your midst. Yep. And I think for me, what you brought out too was good. But being vulnerable, I think, was important because, all the other gods of the pagan worlds, their God's unapproachable. They can't talk to him. He doesn't talk back. And they're so far in distance, but he's like, ask me anything. And I would imagine around those tables, it wasn't just always about, I'm Jesus, I'm here to bring, eternity. But, I would imagine Jesus had some great conversations about, the tractors of the day and golf and, sports and everything else. I think
and fishing. That is an interesting thing. And I think I appreciate that about that TV series, The Chosen. You get a chance to see a little more of the humanity of Jesus and the humanity of the disciples and their interaction away from Jesus. That's something I've really appreciated. Yeah. But I think that, we know from scriptures, and we talked about this in one of their series, that Jesus had nicknames for the guys. I think he's having fun. He's talking about things that are going on. How did you know how to catch all those fish, and have us throw a net on the other side? I'm sure those were deep, wonderful conversations. We also get to see the Sons of Thunder. They're like, hey, can we sit on your right hand and your left hand? There was some vying for position and all of that going on, just like men would do, right? And I think that I laugh.
And also like teenage boys, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
18, 19 years old. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Who's your number one, Jesus?
Yeah.
I have this interesting thing that we're going to be doing this summer. I'm going to beat Joe Biden, because if you remember from the presidential debate back between Trump and Biden, they started talking smack about their golf game. If you remember that, Biden said, I'm a 6 handicap. And Trump's like, you're not a 6. I've seen your game. Right? Yeah. Two 80-year-old men talking smack in front of 8 billion people. It made me laugh. It was the highlight of the entire debate for me. But, that's the kind of conversation that was happening outside of, the spiritual things that Jesus was bringing. Yeah. And I just imagine Jesus was a wonderful conversationalist to be able to.
Oh, for sure. Can I jump in on one thing about dinners? Is dinners also meant acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. So being invited to somebody's house for dinner, it's saying, hey, I accept you. So they're accepting Jesus, but Jesus is also accepting to sit at the table with these guys.
And that really was the big issue, wasn't it? He was calling these traitors, these people who are funding terrorism, to say, hey, you and I are equals when we sit here and eat this. And that was the big stink that the Pharisees were making. So it was a lot of fun also to talk about the word Pharisee, which means the set apart ones. They are above and beyond, or a cut above, or they think they're a cut above even good righteous people. They took pride in the fact that they were better than other people. Exactly. And they made it their hobby. They made it their ambition to show that they were better.
Their brand was perfection.
Absolutely. Right. Yep. And they wanted you to look and see how good they were at what they were doing. That was a big concept that I didn't get a chance to break into. Is they tried to make their house a mini version of the temple. What was happening at the temple, they tried to bring those ceremonies and those types of things that were important right down to their daily lives. And then they wanted you to be able to look and see how well they washed their hands and how they prepared their food, and all the things.
And I suppose there could be a certain level of adoration and praise towards God to say, God, this is how I'm going to do it. But the heart posture there is, hey, look at me, and how I'm serving God is different from how you're serving God, which makes me better, right? There's the problem.
There's the problem,
right?
100%. Well, and even Jesus mentions, he says he commends them for their understanding of Scripture, but he's like, you're whitewashed sepulchers,
Yeah, you
you can wash the outside, but the inside is not good. And, you know, I think what's interesting is that, you know, Jesus, he pointed to something that was really tough to bring out in that culture, because I think everybody was thinking it, but nobody wanted to say anything because they had control of the culture. You know, the Pharisees and Sadducees, the Sanhedrin Council had control of the culture. And so you don't want to talk against them because, you know, you get excommunicated in a sense out of the worship and synagogue and temple worship. But, you know, what's interesting too is that, you know, Jesus was not a typical rabbi either. You know, the things he did, most rabbis would have never done. Like eating at a table with his disciples or spending time with them the way he did. A normal rabbi would have never done that. A rabbi always kept himself separate from other things. You know, there's even some writing from some of the Mishnahs that even rabbis were not allowed to be touched by their disciples. Like you cannot put a hand on them, period.
It even the selection of the disciples, Jesus did it backwards. You know, most disciples picked the rabbi, and Jesus actually picks the disciples. So that was kind of interesting as well.
So there's a lot of things countercultural that he did that it's amazing.
So have you ever been the guest of honor at a dinner party?
I have, yeah.
Okay, tell me about how that went, and what was it like to be that person that will put you in the Jesus role at this moment when you're brought in because you're somebody special.
Well, it was one of those dinners. It was with a politician, and we were invited because we were working for the Salvation Army. But being brought in, it was kind of like the conversation started out, you know, like what we had in common politically and that kind of stuff. But eventually, you know, you start having the conversation about real stuff like your family and what you do, what your hobbies and that kind of stuff. But eventually, by the end of the time together, you're like, we're buddies. You know, I've only known you for like half an hour, but I guess we're buddies now. You know, because you start having the conversation progresses, right? I think you've noticed that when you've had those moments yourself. The conversation progresses. It starts out pretty superficial, and eventually you start getting into the questions that are common with each other, and then eventually you're having conversations with somebody that you would have with any other friend that you have. And I think that's really cool, but it's kind of disarming, right? I think that's one thing I've noticed with when I've had those moments with people that I would say are high up in the world. It's kind of disarming to have those conversations. It'd be like going to the president and then the president's like, here's a Diet Coke. You know, sit down and have a talk with me. And you're just like, what's going on right now, you know? And then eventually you're like laughing it up over jokes and stuff. That would be tough.
And I remember when you first came on staff here, you know, people, you know, they want to spend time with you to hear who you are and what's important to you. And I know you're kind of going through that right now. So you've been the guest of honor at maybe a small group or something like that. What do you feel when you show up and you're kind of in the spotlight?
Yeah, right. So there's pressure, right? Yeah. Because there's people that you're meeting for the first time, right? So you want to communicate well, and you want to kind of be on for me anyways, I want to be on my A game, right? I want to make sure I show up there well rested and caffeinated and ready to go. You know, but there's also something that's this is right, guest of honor. It's honoring, right? They're bringing you in because they want to get to know you and they want to know what you're about. And it's a moment where you really have like a captive audience to say, hey, these are the things that I care about. This is the stuff that wakes me up in the morning, that gets me excited.
So I had a chance to have lunch with Pastor Hunter and his family and another family from Harbor Light this last Sunday. And it was really fun to watch Pastor Hunter. I would consider to be kind of the guest of honor at that particular lunch, but he focused outwardly on different people around the table. And it was kind of fun. It was a little bit of an interview style, but, you know, tell me about this and you, and tell me about that. And it was fun. And I think people enjoy it when the guest of honor recognizes them. And then finds and points out things about them. And I saw you being like Jesus in that moment where you found somebody at the table and then you focused in on them and what was important to them, and you asked them questions and they had a chance to answer that. And I saw a smile in that person when they were answering those questions. And I think Jesus did the same thing. People don't always like to be in the spotlight, but they like it when a little of the spotlight bleeds off on them a little bit.
And sometimes I think people don't. I think everybody's got something inside of them that God has put on the inside of them that he's trying to pull out. And so when I'm in a situation like that, I know like this could be an opportunity that I could help pull out these things that God has just put inside of them, and then I get to encourage it and I get to see it. And I think it's a special thing to do for people.
You know what I've noticed? Interesting. Well, I do it all the time in my own life, but do you ever notice that Jesus always had somebody that was the door opener for those opportunities? Like it was always one person that Jesus somehow picked that would be the person to open the door and then create the opportunity.
Yeah.
And in my own life, my wife does it for me all the time because I'm an introvert. I don't, you put me in those situations, I'm going to clam up. And then when she starts talking, then I'm like, oh, okay, then I'm going to go with what she just said. And then I'll start talking. But Jesus seemed to do that a lot. And for me, as an introvert reading scripture, a lot of times I'm like, yeah, Jesus does what I do. He like has like Zacchaeus, and he has Matthew, and he has other people that go out and kind of open the opportunity for him. Yeah. I'm not saying Jesus was an introvert, but I'm just saying he had those people. And I think what's interesting about it for me, in hindsight, looking at it, again, Jesus is very good at creating the moment that he can be best in, right? And so when he comes to those situations, it's not like what we would do as an honored guest. We're coming in, everybody's like, oh, you guess who's here? You know, he kind of disarms everybody of that because of how he sets it up. Because he just wants to get to the conversations, the heart of the situation. So he doesn't want to have to go through all that social, politics that usually happens before you get to the point where you can have the conversation. I think it's interesting that Jesus did that a lot. And I think it's because people are already coming with their expectations, their ideas of how this conversation should play out. Like if you're standing in front of somebody that's powerful, you've got kind of a sense of how this conversation is going to probably go. And then when that person who is in power changes the whole atmosphere of it by how they do something, like Donald Trump pull on a Diet Coke or whatever. Sure. It's disarming. And you're like, wait a minute, this is not how it's supposed to play out. And then Jesus catches you off guard, and then you start talking about stuff and you're like, I wasn't going to plan on talking about that. I wasn't planning on getting to that point.
Pull it out of me, though.
Yeah, he pulled it out of me, and he would do that all the time. But his first approach seemed like it was like he would throw somebody in there to get everybody kind of on a different level, and then he would start talking with them. And I thought that was so cool because, Jesus understands that, we will all the time put these walls up, these filters, before we actually become vulnerable with him. Correct. And he finds a way to disarm those things all the time. And the meal's part of it, like you talked about Sunday. The dinner was a part of it because that is not a typical place where you're going to have debates and conversations about, theological things. And there you are. And then you're having conversations about it. And then you're talking about yourself, and you're talking about where you are spiritually. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh my gosh,
So I was raised by a man who was very gregarious. People loved being around him. It was pretty easy for me to just kind of duck in, somewhere in the back. And then when I became the senior pastor here at Harbor Light, then I had to kind of step into that role. And it was a little uncomfortable for a little while, but my wife and I picked up the skill of being able to be a good question asker, right? And when you ask the questions, you're doing a couple different things. You're helping the other person be in the spotlight. You're taking interest in what they're saying. You're inviting them to be a part of it, and you're controlling the conversation. You don't have to talk about yourself when you ask questions of the other person, and that helped us kind of transition into that kind of role where we step from in the shadows maybe to the front of the light. I've heard a quote one time, and it went something like this: that if you talk at me, I might listen. If you invite me to be a part of, then I'm going to participate. But when we talk together, I'm fully engaged. You have my heart. Yeah. And I think that's something that we have tried to do over the years. And I encourage anybody that's listening, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're a little bit uncomfortable and maybe the spotlight's on you a little bit, just kind of shift it by asking the people around you, just like you did on Sunday. Shift the attention over onto somebody else and asking them questions and draw them in. We did it as youth pastors. There would always be that shy kid that came for the very first time. We just sit next to him and just, what's your favorite class at school? What's the class you like the least? Where do you go to school? How long have you been? All those questions, and just interview them in a way is pulling them in and makes them feel comfortable. Then their heart gets connected to you, just like you said. Within a half hour of that, person that was important, that person in politics there, hey, you felt like your buddies.
Yeah. And
Totally.
it's a great place, and I think that's when Jesus starts becoming more intensive about his ministry with that person, because then he starts talking about things, and it is one of those things that builds this commonality to the point where when he does start asking the questions that matter most, you're not so defensive anymore, like the woman at the well, right? I mean, the whole thing got set up pretty quick, but it might have been a little bit longer, as opposed to what Scripture gives us. But the way he set that thing up, I mean, the woman was disarmed really quick by the conversation. And then he gets to the point of why he's there to meet her. But you see that happening all over the place.
I have this happen to me more often now, but, so I'll get invited to go golfing with a bunch of buddies, right? And they'll have, a person in the group that they really want to talk to them about Jesus. So they hire me as the assassin, right? I get hired in to this conversation, and then I get stuck on the golf cart with that person, which now I look forward to, right? And I still use the same strategy. We're going to spend 4 hours together on a golf course, and we're going to ride the cart together. And I'm just going to start asking him about your family and your career and where'd you go to school and how long you've been playing golf and all that stuff. And then slowly the barriers start coming down. Yeah. And then if you listen closely, generally, not every single time, but generally, you're going to hear a little chink in the armor, that spot that they need something from the Lord, and then just kind of slowly move up close to that. You don't have to drill down too hard, but because I'm generally not trying to win a person to Jesus in one conversation, right? We talked about
playing the long game.
Play the long game. Build before you broadcast was the point that we made on Sunday, and that takes that. I believe that actually honors the other person, because now they're not just a notch on your gun. Stock.
You're a human being.
Yeah, you're a human being, and I really care about you and care about what's going on.
Yeah, you raised a really good point there. I think that people can smell an agenda a mile away.
Oh yeah,
right. And so when you come at a situation with a preconceived agenda of what you're going to do, people can smell it a mile away. They're already putting the barriers up there, and having those conversations, and then kind of just naturally moving into the conversation based off what you're picking up from them, that seems to really begin to open the conversations. And, I've just been in counseling for so many years, like the rest of us, you learn how to ask questions, you learn how to get people to start talking about what they need to talk about. Yeah. And using that in these meetings is helpful too. I mean, you're not trying to counsel them, but you're using those skills and techniques to move in that direction. But it's amazing how naturally they start saying things, and you're like, wait a minute, I can do something with this, or I'm gonna move in this, but it's not an agenda, and people can sense that. They know that
this person cares about me.
Yeah, you really care about me. You really want to talk about it. So
okay, I got a question for you guys. Yeah. I always, when I hear sermons like yours, and there's multiple types of people in it, I'm always thinking, okay, what categories do people fall in? Okay, so there's the sinners, there's Jesus, and there's the Pharisees. And I think that people who are listening to the sermon, maybe on the podcast, probably falls into one of those three categories.
Okay.
And so I think we all should, if we've come to Christ, we started as that sinner, right? And we still are. And Jesus is our mediator, all really good stuff. But I think the temptation is we can accidentally, instead of becoming more like Jesus, become like the Pharisees. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Wow.
That's a good one.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that happens when Pharisees are involved, we talked about criticism, but that really kind of spawns into a place of comparison. And when the moment you start comparing yourself to where you are, to where they are, maybe you've made some advancements in your walk with Jesus, then it can very quickly make you slide towards that Pharisaical category, right? Instead of saying, isn't it amazing, Jesus, I like the way you just did that. So, at the bottom was the sinner, the Christian, or Jesus, is at the middle, and then there's the Pharisees at the top. That was the way you described that. Isn't it amazing that the perfect one stays in the middle?
Yeah. Pulling people together.
Yeah. So I think it's dangerous for us to start comparing ourselves to where other people are at without filtering it through Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. The perfect one. And I think that slide can happen.
Yeah. Cause I've seen this happen in my life where I'm inviting some people to my house. And I've had people question me, why are you inviting that person? And it's like, listen, did you forget where you could have been, or where you should have been, or where you used to be?
Right.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jesus Christ, this person is just hasn't started the process that you've been on for 20 years, but we can't just.
Yeah. I've had a couple of interactions with people over the years where there'll be a certain type of sin that they have no patience for. It's like, that sin is so bad, they're never going to heaven. I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I silently sit there and say, oh my gosh, I was that sinner. I participated in that type of sin. And if I confess that right now, you would cut me off. Right. So being the person that I am, I've always tried to remember, I have the cross in my priffs, right? I'm never too far outside of my salvation experience to remember that I am that sinner that you're criticizing right now, or I was that sinner, right?
good.
So that, I think that helps me as a person to be able to relate with people who are struggling with whatever is going on in their life, to remember I was that man, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the grace of God, there I go, right? That's how it goes. That's deeply embedded in who I am. And I think being a youth pastor helped me with that, right? To remember that all these kids coming in, I'm just like them. Yep. So,
well, there's a lot of awareness and compassion in that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is like you're aware of where you are, but you also have compassion for those that are going through it and not arrived yet. I think what's interesting about the Pharisees to me was that, these guys lived a lifestyle. They lived a lifestyle of religion. And I think to me that's the scariest part when we talk about the Pharisees, because there's a lot of conversation in the church today about lifestyle religion, lifestyle Christianity. And I think that, we definitely need to start changing our lifestyle to meet what Christ called us to.
Come on.
But at the same time, we've got many that are moving into the Pharisaical realm because lifestyle now becomes, like you just said, a comparison.
Yeah.
It is all about, I'm here. Look at what I'm doing now. This is better. I don't watch certain movies anymore. I don't go to certain things anymore. I don't do this. I don't do that. And those I don't do things become bigger and bigger walls of separation from people that God's calling you to have compassion with. And that was the problem with the Pharisees, is that they knew all the right things to say, all the right things to do, but they kept creating these walls of separation to the point where they were living in a high tower and everybody else was down in the good dumps, and they didn't want to go down there because they felt like didn't want to get dirty, didn't want to be a part of that. But, I think one thing about Harbor Light, and we've often mentioned this, is that Harbor Light's a blue jean gospel here. I mean, we like to get in the trenches, and we don't mind getting dirt on our knees, when we're trying to help people. And I think that's always been sort of the hallmark of our ministry here, is that we don't shy away from that responsibility. Where other people are worried about getting the scent of the world on them, we tend to go into it.
I don't do this on purpose for recognition, but I am aware of the fact that I'm being recognized. On Sunday morning before the service starts, I'm walking around and I'm going to hug every person I can. People that are in recovery, I'm going to make my way to make sure that I get over there. I'm like, hey, what's your name? All right, Joe, give me a hug. And I think people are watching, especially when there's some racial differences. When they see the guy with the microphone on hugging everybody.
Because what is it? Man. It's the same thing Jesus did. That hug means I accept you.
Exactly.
You're a part of this.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good. Yeah.
I'm breaking down walls. I'm breaking down barriers. The leader here is saying, you guys are a part of us.
Yep.
That's exactly what Jesus was doing. Because the great scripture for this whole conversation is Jesus came to save the world, not condemn it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's very good.
The Pharisees were just bringing condemnation, and Jesus was, hey, I'm saving these people. So it's okay that they're sick. I'm going to try to make them better.
Yeah. Isn't that
Come
great?
on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a sense of urgency for that. And then I think that gets to our last point that we got to close up here, is this idea of being missional. Can you unwrap that for me, the idea of being missional in these opportunities?
Right. Make the most of every opportunity. I think that's a little passage from Hebrews that I've tried to, apply that to as many parts of my life as possible. So my trip to the gas station has a mission. The person I'm going to buy, that can of pop from, there's a reason. I'm going to call Frank, who works over at the Shell station. I'm going to call him by his name when he comes in there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to do everything I can with a purpose and for a purpose. And so it's a dinner party, or it's getting gas, or it's on Sunday morning. I'm going to try to make everything have some eternal weight to it.
Yeah.
And like Hunter just said a moment ago, I'm not going to be able to seal deal on every single thing, right? But I'm going to make sure that I'm aware that this has consequences, both positive or negative on things. How about for you?
Yeah. What it means for me, I want to move the ball forward with this person, right? So I think I would probably use the word focus, right? I want to have focus and intensity in what I'm doing. And so I'm intense about the gospel. I'm intense about people getting saved. And so every moment, if I allow it to be, right? If I'm focused enough, I can help shift it towards Jesus Christ to hopefully move the ball forward for this person. Yeah. And that's what I want to see happen. And so it's all about knowing that my time is limited. This person's time is limited. We only have so much time here. Yeah. And I can't waste this moment. At the end of my life, like, I want to go to heaven super tired and exhausted, knowing like I gave everything I got for Jesus Christ. And that it comes from those little moments that we skip over and we're not thinking about, but can have significant impact, right? One of the things at Harbor Light, we want to make an eternal difference.
Yeah.
And those happens in the mundane moments, because that's when all of Jesus's miracles happened in the mundane moments. He's walking from one place to the next, and somebody shows up.
Did you get that mission statement?
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I'm working so hard on it. I can do it as long as I'm not in front of the camera.
Right.
And it goes.
I've told the story before. So Lisa Kay, we try to frequent the same gas stations, the same convenience stores. We try to check out with the same cashier. We try our best to do as much as that we can, so because we are putting one little piece at a time in the puzzle. I remember Lisa Kay went to the same place because she likes fountain drinks, and so she'd get the same fountain drink from the same gas station, from the same clerk for a number of months. And then that clerk and her built up this conversational relationship to the place where one day the lady discovered that Lisa Kay was a pastor's wife and a Christian, a believer in Jesus. And then her brother got cancer. And it was early in the morning. There were a couple of customers in the gas station, but she came around from behind the counter and said, "Would you pray with me for my brother?"
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah,
that's because she went to the same place, to the same clerk.
Just
for
planting seeds.
It's good. It's really good.
Super great stuff.
Well, that's all we got today.
Yeah.
We ran out of time again.
Yes.
We got talking,
That's a good
and here we
thing.
are. Yeah, it was good. So good message. And you're going to be preaching this Sunday. What are you talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about how Jesus is a miracle worker. And at the end, I'm going to let you know he's a miracle worker, but he's so much more than a miracle worker. And really the big thing we're asking the question is, or I guess the statement, how you see Jesus matters. So the way that you see him matters. And if you see him as a great talker, that's great. If you see him as a miracle worker, that's great. But at some point, you got to understand that he's Messiah as well. And
Are there going to be props?
Props?
Props.
Props.
Are there going to be props this time?
Because
I usually walk away with something every
Listen,
Sunday
I
when you
don't.
preach.
No, there's not a prop for this one. But the
Come
next,
on!
But listen.
Okay.
But the next one there will be. I'm going all in on the props for week 3 of this.
Okay,
series.
all right. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm adding them all. But I still got a lot of time. So who knows?
I mean, I've gotten dominoes from you. I got all kinds of stuff in my office.
Yeah, and so we're going over Mark chapter 8. And Mark does a sandwich, and I want to give you the whole sermon, more podcast, but Mark does a sandwich of the disciples not knowing who Jesus is.
Yeah.
A miracle that happens in the middle that not only saves this man's sight, but sheds light on the disciples not being able to see Jesus for who he really is. And right after that is when they finally realize who this man is.
That's going to be good.
So
that's great.
That's gonna be good.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. And just a reminder, our podcast listeners, we have the last call this month is the Seder Experience.
Yes.
So come out for that.
Yes.
It'll be normal time of 6:30. It's an experience. It's not a Passover meal, but it's the Seder Experience. So we're going to talk about all the elements and how they point to Christ, and we're going to have a good time.
Right? Because Jesus is the fulfillment of all of this.
Fulfillment of all of it,
Yep.
and bring your kids. Bring your friends, bring your close companion, whoever, bring them, and we'll have a good time. But that's it for us today. Not
yes.
tonight, but today. Yeah, we're in a windowless room right now. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Painted black.
You have found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply. Find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now,